What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Tuesday morning episode of the Daily Juice Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Perrault, and we don't know what last night did for our record. We know we lost the first bet. Duke goes to Virginia, and they win the game by 18. We took 14.5, so unfortunately that came up a little short in the game going on right now between between Baylor and Arizona. That game is still undecided. It's 10:20 on the East Coast. It's late. I'm going to bed. I'm not going to stay up for that game. So I don't know. Either 0-2 or 1-1 for us last night. Now, a couple things to get to. First and foremost, we will have the live stream. It's happening at 5:30 Eastern time with myself and Terrell Furman. We missed it last week due to the BettingPros trip to Vegas. We will be here with you guys on the YouTube channel for half an hour or so. I'm going to give you at least 2 plays because what I'm going to do today, I got one bet for you guys. It's involving BYU. I kind of tipped my hand there a bit. And then I got my first 2 college basketball futures to give you guys. Then I've got at least 2 plays coming later on the live stream, maybe 3. I want to watch how the line moves for a couple of games, but it's a big day of college basketball for us. A lot of nationally ranked teams playing each other, in particular in the SEC. So I want to watch a little bit how that's going to play out, how that's going to move. And so we'll do that coming up on the live stream at 5:30 Eastern time, 2:30 Pacific time with Terrell Furman and myself on the Betting Pros YouTube channel. Also, this happened last night, but they kind of asked me to do it again because, well, some of you guys may have been out. If you are Mr. Josh 187, you have won the signed autographed Michael Strahan jersey. You need to email mailbag@fantasypros.com with your proof of subscription to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and your mailing address, and you will be sent the signed autographed New York Giants Michael Strahan jersey. Now, for you guys who want to win and want to get a chance to win this autographed signed DeAndre Swift Bears jersey, this is now our giveaway for this week. We have this up for grabs for the next week. We will pull a winner coming up on Friday. Easy to enter. Again, you're going to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel, and you're going to comment on either this video or any video for the Daily Juice, and that's all you got to do to enter in to win this autographed DeAndre Swift Bears jersey that we will have the announcement for the winner coming up on Friday. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you have the notifications turned on so you guys can be alerted when we're going to announce the winner of that signed jersey by DeAndre Swift of the Chicago Bears. Okay, so let's talk about the one game that I'm going to make a play, and then we'll get to the future bets. So BYU is at home against Kansas. This is a win for Kansas, according to KenPom. However, when you look at BYU at home, being 9-5 against the number, they're 8-6 in the Big 12 this year. KU is just 5-9. They've lost 3 games in a row against the number. They've covered once in their last 5, and they're 5-6 on the road, and they're going to Provo, which is not a usual place for them to go and play. It is really hard to go there and win. 15-point win for BYU against a good Kansas State team. In their last game, they were laying 8. They won by 15. Before that, they lost by 11 to Arizona, which is somewhat of a surprise, but they beat Baylor and they beat Cincinnati, covering in both those games. They've covered in 3 of their last 4 home games. For KU on the road, they lost to Utah. They were favored by 6.5, and they lost by 7. Colorado, they laid 17.5 at home to the Buffaloes, and they only won by 12, and then they lost on the road at Kansas State, laying 3.5. They lost by 8. I've been fading KU all year, but the number's 2.5 or 3. I'm a little bit concerned about laying that number. I could see a 2-point win here for BYU coming right down to the wire. So if you look at the games that KU has lost, they lost by 1 to West Virginia. They lost by 6 to Houston. They lost by 8 to Kansas State. They lost by 7 to Utah. So you're probably okay to lay 2.5, but because we're only going to bet one play here on the podcast, I feel like it's okay to lay the money line here and lay 140 and lay 1.4 units down on BYU just to win the game over KU. Forget the point spread. Just BYU to win this game against Kansas and to give KU another loss. Again, I've been a fader of KU this year. It's been profitable for us this year doing it. I'm going to keep on doing it all the way into the NCAA tournament. KU on the road in Provo. Give me BYU. Money line, BYU for -140 for 1.4 units. Okay, 2 bets to give you guys for future wagers. Let's start with the longest of shots, and then we'll get to the other. There's 2. So I'm going to have plays on Auburn and Duke, but I want to wait and watch and see, because I think we're going to be able to get this price it's 3-1 or 4-1 for both teams. So I want to almost wait to see if we can get a 5-1 or a 6-1. It's not really worth it, I think, but I want Auburn money. I'm going to have Auburn money. I'm going to have money on Duke. Okay, those are the 2 teams that I think have the best shot of winning the national championship as of right now. But I like building portfolios. So how I do this is I'm trying to get teams to make the Final Four. Okay, what I'm trying to do is bet to make the Final Four. If we get 20-1, 10-1, 15-1, prices like that, and these teams get to the Final Four, we've got massive ability to fade off of it. Okay, and I look to fade off of it all the time. So you got to have big tickets. You can't have small tickets. You got to have pretty big tickets, like double digit or higher, in order for this strategy to work. So that's why it doesn't really work with Auburn. It doesn't really work with Duke unless they get an injury or they fall apart and all of a sudden their prices get really high. 4-1 and 3-1, it's not enough value there for me to get involved. However, Iowa State is 20-1 right now. Iowa State is 8th in adjusted defensive efficiency. They are 17th in adjusted offensive efficiency. They're 20-5. I've been telling you guys all year that I'm a big fan, and they went through that swoon in January and early February where they lost to West Virginia, they lost to Arizona, they lost to Kansas State, and they lost to Kansas. But since they have, not really turned things around, but they've looked better against TCU, against Central Florida, and then really good in their last game at home against Cincinnati where they won 81-70. Now they have a big week coming up where they play Colorado at home and then on the road at Houston. If they win at Houston, and I'm not saying they're going to, but if they do, they win the game at Houston, this price will change and people will start to come around. So I want to get involved with Iowa State before that game against Houston, just in case that they win it. Now, if they lose it, then you may get a better number than this, but 20-1 is enough. It's enough for me to go ahead and jump in here on Iowa State and take them to win the national championship because of what I think they're going to do come tournament time. Effective field goal percentage for them, they're in the top 70 in both offensive and defensive. 3-point shooting's been somewhat of a question, but their 2-point shooting is in the top 50. And 2-point defense is in the top 50. When we're talking about efficiency for teams, I'm looking at their top 20 for both offensive and defensive efficiency. That's my first criteria to take a look at that, okay? Do you take care of the basketball? Do you force turnovers? Do you have a defense that can travel? Because you're not going to shoot great every night. That's why the 3-point shooting for Iowa State doesn't worry me all that much. Their 2-point shooting makes up for it. They're good enough at the free throw line. They're not awesome, but they're good enough. Top 75 in the country, hitting 75.2% of their free throws. Again, we don't know the draw, so we're jumping in and taking futures before we know the draw. That's why you need to get good prices like this and have big tickets. First ticket for the college basketball national championship. I've told you guys all year, I've been a big fan of Iowa State. I'm going to keep rolling with Iowa State here at 20-5 record for Iowa State, 20-1, 1 unit of them to win the national championship here for 2025. Number 2, I've been telling you about Florida all year. 10-1 is a good ticket. Shop and find this. Most books are at 9-1. You can find 10-1 in the market. I want 10-1 on the Florida Gators. They, just like Iowa State, when it comes to efficiency, they are 4th in adjusted offensive efficiency. They are 9th in adjusted defensive efficiency. Effective field goal percentage defensively, they are 4th in the country. 3-point defense, they are 3rd in the country. 2-point defense, they are 18th in the country. Florida absolutely can win it all. And I've probably gotten in here late as to when I should have been on them because we've been talking about Florida for a while. This team won on the road at Auburn. This team can win against anybody in the country, okay? Todd Golden's team is deep. Todd Golden's team is super talented. Now, they don't shoot the 3 great. They're 105th in 3-point shooting, but they are 30th in 2-point percentage. If I'm talking about one Achilles heel for the Gators, it could be their free throw percentage. They're 198th in free throw shooting. That's not great for a team trying to win the national championship. However, 71.7% is not horrible. It's not great, but it's not horrible. Adjusted tempo, they're the top 100 for that. In effective field goal percentage on offense, they're 49th inside the top 50. So they have a top 10 efficiency defense and offense. They have a top 50 in effective field goal percentage on offense and on defense. Three-point shooting, like I said, they're 105th in three-point shooting, but defensively, they get it done with playing great on the perimeter of taking away three-point shooting. And this team's got some really big games left to go, in particular a game at Alabama on March the 5th. But Florida could very well be winning the SEC championship, and Florida could very well be your national champs after the way they've played this year. They've been absolutely tremendous this year. 10-1 on the Gators, 1 unit down on Florida to win the national championship. All right, so again, we're going to have more plays on today's schedule, today's card, during the live stream that will happen at 5:30 Eastern Time, 2:30 Pacific on the BettingPros YouTube channel with myself and Terrell Furman. But for today, the plays: BYU money line, minus 140 at home against KU, 1.4 units down on that. Florida win the national championship at 10-1 for 1 unit, and Iowa State to win the national championship at 20-1 for 1 unit. My name is Matt Perrault. I'll talk to you guys coming up a little bit later on today at 5:30 Eastern on the Betting Pros YouTube channel. You guys can follow me on my socials at Sports Talk Matt every morning, wherever you guys get your podcasts. It is the Daily Juice.